show, we've got Kyle on. His name is Kyle E. Gentle, and he's a strength coach in Toronto, Ontario.
Yes,
And we've also got my co-host Brian McKay on.
How's it going, everyone?
I think they're repeating very good. They're listening to us. They're very happy.
Good, good.
So today we're gonna talk with Kyle a little bit. So Kyle, do you mind kind of giving your background or your history a little bit, just how you got into the strength and conditioning game, and you know where you are right now?
yeah. I guess we got some time then, right?
Yeah, why not?
We'll go back and we'll start at the beginning. I graduated from. I was in college for the law clerk diploma. This was in London, Ontario, at Fanshawe College, and I graduated from that program. And when I came back home, I was doing odd jobs while I was, seeking out law firms to work at.
Mm.
And as I was doing that, I think I was more so pleasing my dad because that's what I went into school for. But I kind of knew in my last year that I don't know. I'm not meant to work in an office. At least at the time, I didn't think so, and I still don't think so. But um, I was doing, what did I do? I started doing like landscaping, and then I was doing paving, actually right before I became a trainer.
Hmm.
So I was at a Good Life working out, and I was just thinking, I know that I love to help people, and so I was actually thinking of, if I'm not doing law, the law clerk stuff, I was going to go into being a police or firefighter because they help people. But I was not attracted to the fact that my chance of dying is a little higher than the
Oh yeah.
general population, at least the active general population. Um, and so, yeah, I was sitting at Good Life just working out, and I looked over and I saw a trainer, and I'm like, wait a minute, trainers help people? And I don't know how it never came to my mind, and I loved working out the whole time and everything. Not to say I knew much about training. I knew how to get myself in relatively good shape. I played sports my whole life and whatnot.
Yeah, you're
Um,
you're pretty jacked. For people who don't know Kyle, he's kind of a specimen.
you're too kind. Thanks.
No, 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 no. Seriously, like even though like let's say there's your average gym goer and then there's you. So were you always kind of like muscular or like what? I'm just gonna go
Um,
off on a tangent.
I was always I was always skinny and lean. I think from a genetic standpoint, I had that going for me. So as I ate and gained weight, it was it wasn't hard to stay lean. So that added to the smoke and mirrors appearance of jackedness. At least
Uh,
how in the bodybuilding world, it's all smoke. They'll to say that it's all smoke and mirrors. But Yeah, no, I've just I think part of it is genetics for sure. I've been lucky enough to just be I'm West Indian and I've always been lean. My brother's always been lean. My sister doesn't even work out at all, and if you saw her arms and her back, you'd think that she probably works out. So,
well, now that everybody hates you and your family, uh, we can continue on to
great way to start the podcast. My dad calls him, "What the?"
getting hate mail, son. What did you do?
It's your fault, Dad. It's your genetics.
Um,
Um,
all right, so you said you were a good life. You didn't
yes.
really know too much about training people, but you knew how to train yourself. So what kind of training were you doing at Good Life before you became a trainer, so to speak?
I started working out my second year of college, and it was pretty much just following what the guys that I saw that I wanted to look like in the gym doing. So it was your typical bodybuilding split where you'd have, back one day, chest one day, legs
Mm.
one day, blah blah blah. Um, and which is all good and will work for a lot of people because essentially, truthfully, as long as you're not doing something that's going to hurt the person and they're consistently training, they're going to get better.
Yeah,
But
you'll see results.
yes, exactly. It may not be exactly the best results, but you're see progress.
Hmm.
But nonetheless, that's kind of how I followed along that. And then when I was at the Good Life and I became a trainer, I was lucky enough. Well, I don't think Good Life should probably do it this way, but they hired me without even having a PT cert,
Yep,
because
they still do it.
Can you
yeah,
can you clarify specifically what Good Life is for
ooh,
the listening audience that
yeah.
doesn't live in Canada?
Yes, yes, yes. Good point. Good Life is probably Canada's biggest big box gym, or what I consider global gym. If anybody's seen
Dodgeball.
Dodge, yeah, global gym is what they refer to all these big box gyms, and that's what I continue to refer to it as. But yeah, Good Life is probably, in terms of monetary success, the biggest successful gym or the most successful gym in Canada.
Yep, Canada
Um,
wide.
Yeah. So yeah, I was working out there, and they interviewed me, and I seemed to have enough knowledge to get started, and then but continued my education right away with doing whatever certs I needed, and then on top of that, now I was lucky enough to be surrounded by or to be taken under the wing of two or three trainers that really knew their stuff when it came down to how the body works, performance, rehab, and how the brain works. And I was lucky enough to really, yeah, they, for lack of a better term, they really took me under their wing and just showed me that I really didn't know jack shit. Um, and I really only knew how to get myself in shape and for only the specific aesthetic goal that I had at that time. If you ask me other things about sports performance or whatnot, I might give some generic answer, but it probably wasn't the smartest answer. And the right answer would have been like a video I put out yesterday. I don't know. I will find out that answer for you. Um, but yeah, so when I was at Good Life, I was there for about 3 or 4 years. Got into fitness modeling and competed with a few organizations. Got my pro card with the WBFF.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
yeah, that was pretty cool. It was 2011, and actually, I got my pro card at my last show. Like I told myself, this is my last chance to get to win this pro card because I'm moving on to something a lot more objective, which I'll get into in a moment. But I still put a lot of time into the fitness modeling, a good 4 years, and the last show that I won my pro card, I came fourth out of 45 or 46
Nice.
guys, so I was pretty pleased with that. Um, Now, but I knew I was making the move into a sport that was a lot more objective, which is well, it's called weightlifting, but I'm sure most of the listeners will probably understand if I say Olympic weightlifting.
Yep.
That's probably a little more common for them to hear. But that's what I got into, and yeah, for a few reasons, I love the sport. I've always thought it was amazing since I watched it like as a little kid on TV with my dad at the Olympics, which is pretty much the only time it's televised.
Hmm.
Um, and the fact that it's just objective, like Claude, if you and I are in the same weight class and we lift the exact same weight, if you happen to be 0.01 kilograms lighter than I am, you're gonna win.
Hmm.
You win the gold medal. So that that was a big attraction to me to the sport. It's just level of objectiveness. Where with fitness modeling and other, you can't see me, but I'm air quoting sports. Fitness modeling is so subjective, whereby you could do something that a judge told you to work on for the next time, and then at the next show, it's a total different criteria they're looking for. So essentially, their favorite taste of ice cream for the week or the month changes all the time. So,
Not to mention the politics.
and
There's
politics, absolutely, for sure.
it's I trained well, actually my ex boss and she got involved with well, not bodybuilding but fitness modeling,
Hmm.
and she was in a competition. She came second place, and the person who came first place, apparently a lot of people thought the first place winner did not deserve first place, but they were married to the head judge. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay, that's a whole new level of politics right there. I had not been in a competition where it was that crazy. That's
yeah,
pretty messed up.
yeah, it's insane. But anyway, I want to talk to you a little bit.
Quick question: am I yelling at you guys?
I'm okay.
Okay,
We're good.
I'm just loud. Sometimes I don't realize how loud I am, so I don't know if I'm yelling at you or not. Sorry.
Oh, poor Brian's in the corner. He's just like,
Yeah.
stop.
Cowering. It reminds me of my girlfriend.
Oh,
I'm yelling, and you have Claude the murderer on the other side too. So
Right.
All right, for people who
Inside joke.
Sorry. Claude's not a murderer to the listeners.
it was a
That was
little inside joke before we started recording. Oh God, now I've got this bad rap. Okay. Um.
All
no,
right.
Claude the teddy bear cuddler.
Oh my God. Yeah, Claude the Cuddler. That's the worst. I sound like I strangle people or something. No.
No.
Okay. All right. Oh man. Okay, this is great. All right. So right now with your weightlifting, just trying to get this train back on the rails.
Yes.
Um, with your weightlifting, you say you've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah, I've been competing in Canada for the past 4 years. I've been a national level athlete for a little over a year now. And yeah, no, I love it. I still have a far way to go. And yeah,
Now,
it's a
now, how do you train for Olympic lifting? I know some guys train every single day, 2 times a day. So what's your average training week look like? Let's say in like a 30-second pitch.
um, squatting every day. Right now, squatting every day, usually up to a heavy single for the day with a couple back offsets, 2 or 3 back offsets, and then one of the lifts or their variations in that day. So either snatch and clean and jerk, or one of their variations in that day, and
Right,
that's every day.
right on, man. So that's pretty good. You probably get some nice DOMs you have to ignore.
Yeah. The cumulative effect of squatting all the time definitely makes you start to feel it. But again, I'm also not doing the volume day to day that's going to like destroy my legs. So it's usually by the end of the week that it's starting to catch up. Where you're like, oh god, I got to make sure I eat and sleep enough because my legs are feeling it.
You know what? Let's talk about that a little bit. How do you recover from this? Because it is quite an intensive sport and quite intensive training. So what's
Um,
your recovery regimen look like? Like eat, sleep, like stuff like that.
well, my life is, other than having the fun of my amazing girlfriend in my life is very boring in terms of it's train, eat, sleep. There's nothing else really that happens. Anything else I need to schedule and think about ahead of time because it is taking away from recovery. So, again, I'm lucky enough that she happens to have a similar lifestyle, on top of being amazing, has a similar lifestyle as mine in terms of she, before we even met, she doesn't go out and drink. I don't go out and drink. Uh, you know, I haven't been to a club, nor do I care about going to a club in almost, a decade. It feels like the only time I'm going to make make an excuse to go out is if it's a very close friend's birthday or big celebration. But even my own birthday, you're gonna have a big hard job to talk me into going out because I really don't care.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I come home, I eat, and I try to eat as much as I can. So let's say anywhere between 35 to 4,000 calories in a day. So I'm going to correct myself. It's definitely not as much as I can because
Mhm.
there's days I probably can force myself to eat more. That's the part of training that I hate the most is the eating. I really dislike having to eat as much as I need to eat to achieve my goals, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows towards your goals. So I love the training, the eating not so fun, and I love sleeping. So two out of three things ain't too bad.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, and
Well,
it's funny how priorities kind of change throughout our lives. Like when we're younger, we want to go out to the clubs, and some people kind of never grow out of that, and then you can see
Yep.
that they're not doing too well, like
Yeah. No.
in their mid 30s.
Yeah. I know a few of them.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your training business. What's it called, just for the audience?
Yeah. I run a gym called Primal Performance. It's out of my house in my garage, and it's essentially a strength training facility. I work with a lot of clients that are dealing with rehabilitating issues, all the way up to high level sports, to CFL athletes, weightlifting athletes, uh,
Nice.
and everything in between. Essentially, in terms of achieving people's lifestyle goals.
That's awesome. Now, with because we're all of us here, we're Czech certified, and
Oh,
if
nice.
well, yeah, Brian's HLC, and he's probably like Czech practitioner level 2 in theory
Nice,
because
nice.
he's dealt with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. And I saw you just signed up for level one too.
Yeah,
Congrats.
I just did yeah, my exercise coach, which you've got, Kyle.
Yep.
Now, could you explain kind of how much that's helped you, or if that's helped you at all in your training, or if any other certifications or experiences?
Can I name names?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I
Okay.
mean they're gonna send the
Please.
bullets to you,
They're gonna send the what?
the bullets to you. So I'm not worried.
Oh no, these are positive things I'm gonna
Yeah,
say.
no, please go for it.
But I wasn't sure how much of advertising for other things we, other people or things we wanted to do here. But
It's all good.
um, so there's I'm gonna say four or five, no, maybe six names that have the biggest impact on me in terms of my learning um, with strength training and how the body works and going forward. So, a few of these people, listeners may not know at all, and then a couple of them they will know. A guy named Jeff McAleer, a guy named Scott Wilson, my old boss Sharon Dubois, the Czech Institute, Paula Quinn, and Ido Portal have been, I would say, the six most influential coaches on my coaching style, where I've taken little bits from each of them, the things that I like from each of them, and, made it kind of my own with my own flair on it, or my own kind of Kyle flavor, whatever you want to call
That doesn't
it.
sound good.
It doesn't sound good.
Kyle flavor? I don't know.
Well, I don't know where your mind's going with it, but I was just sprinkling some nice cinnamon on the program.
Now, you mentioned Ido Portal.
Mm-hmm.
What did you take? Because I think we
Well, hold on. Let me quickly just the Czech Institute. I must say, yeah, they were. It has been helpful, and in terms of um, the book side of it, like that is where I will go back and refer to notes a lot. Is my Czech stuff when it comes to reminding myself of certain things or whatnot.
hmm, right on.
So yeah, the Czech Institute has been, in my opinion, a very good help, and I thought that course was very well taught.
Brian, any questions about the Czech stuff?
Just kind of curious. I mean, do you feel like that was your basic foundation for which everything else has been built, or what's your kind of
No,
take on that?
I had a pretty good foundation going into the Czech stuff. It just more reinforced them and made me that much more confident about what I already taught.
Okay,
So
perfect.
I guess it was very helpful in a selfish kind of standpoint in terms of just like they helped me toot my horn in terms of you're going in the right direction, Kyle. Here are some ways you can better explain things, or here's more of the science behind this. But yeah, just made me a lot more confident in what I was doing is kind of going in the right direction.
Yeah, that plays huge dividends in helping yourself and clients when you've got the confidence to
I
be able
agree.
to help people. They're going to have more confidence in themselves and what they're being taught.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So
Sorry, Claude, you were saying
yeah, yeah. I was just wondering about Ido Portal because
Mhm.
he said because we took a workshop with him. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you did any more with him after, um, but one of his favorite sayings is don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So um, I like that approach. But what else did you take from Ido? I'm interested.
yeah. The the f- the fact that he is somebody that has taken the time to engross himself in many different disciplines. So Ido Portal, for any listeners that don't know, and I may not be getting this 100% correct, but the gist of it is since he's been very young, he has put himself in different practitioner's shoes. So he's done ballet, he's done the military, he's done a lot of martial arts, boxing, gymnastics, weightlifting. And when I say he's done these things, and powerlifting, bodybuilding, when I say he's done these things, it's not that he has done them to the most competitive level, but he has put himself in that position and trained like those people for I would say about a year or so for each of those things that I mentioned from
Hmm.
what I remember the conversations we had. So it gives him a good understanding again of what is the great things from each movement style. What are the great things from kickboxing? What are the great things from ballet? What are the great things from weightlifting? And how do I pull them all together and explain to people the similarities, but the differences, but also what are the major things to take away from each of them to make yourself a great generalist, which he essentially is. He's big on not being too specified in one area, even though if you were to look at him, you'd think gymnast or something like that,
Yep.
um, because most of his stuff is just body weight controlled stuff. But nonetheless, it's his approach to taking all the good things from all of those and being able to distill them and teach us about them and how they all kind of have their place and how they all movement is movement. It's not like the fitness world, and moving your hip is not much different from moving your hip when you're setting up to play baseball or whatever the hell we want to take an example of. But movement is movement. You see it everywhere. I don't care if you're grocery shopping or you're figure skating or sleeping.
Yeah.
Movement is movement.
Yeah, and that was one thing that kind of brought it together for me because whatever you do, right, is essentially training,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So and it was just like it sort of clicked. I'm like, okay, like so this movement here is essentially this movement here. So
yeah,
it was an awesome point.
yeah. Just little differences, Move this joint here, but this building block stays the same or whatever it is. But yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was a big aspect of Ito that I liked, and then just his as you said, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. His no nonsense kind of no bullshit approach, and his so upfrontness about telling even strangers like, listen, shut up and just listen to me for a second. I know it doesn't go well with a lot of people, but I like that attitude.
Well,
It's not necessarily how I am, but I don't mind being treated like that. I don't mind being told to shut up.
yeah, he was definitely an interesting instructor. I mean, I think now he's kind of toned it down a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, but he does have a larger following to
to
kind
reach the masses, I'm sure a little more, right? It's
of
probably something he's had to learn is like, you know what? I can't fucking rip these people up on the internet like I used to.
yeah.
Because I do remember I'm sure you remember reading some threads of his where if he disagrees with somebody or somebody has a point to make about one of his movement challenges or whatever,
Yep.
but his way of disagreeing was not always the most cordial or civil. He had a way of answering a thing and making you be like, oh, you know what? I don't like to talk to this guy anymore.
Yeah, he put off some people for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
Brian,
when you when you come to one of my seminars or classes, I definitely don't appreciate being told what to do. You come to listen to me, you know. So
Yeah,
I definitely see where he's coming from.
yeah, yeah. No, I like that. I honestly like that. Exactly. You're the one they came to go see. So I don't mind questions, but there needs to be a little bit of just trust me in this aspect.
yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
you're listening to me for a reason. Like, if you
Mhm.
want to go do your own workshop or seminar, go for it. I'm trying to run mine.
And I love questions because to me it feels like people are wanting to learn and know more about it. But there's a difference between questions to learn and questions to just question me.
Yep, like
To kind of toot your own horn type of thing.
there's always that one guy in the back of the class being like, "Yeah, but you said before, and that
Yep.
contradicts this person. And what do you think
Yeah.
about this article?" Yeah, but anyway, Brian, do you have any questions for Kyle, or should I keep bombarding him?
Uh, you know, I've got one that probably be better for later on in the podcast, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of curious. What is the resource you use most frequently with clients? A book, an image. What's something when you're teaching a client that or implement?
It's a good question. I don't know if I have any one specific go-to because to me, like so many times, the issue could have a kind of different root cause. But I guess one thing that's very common that at least in terms of mindset that I like to tell to my clients, I have a poster in my gym of Muhammad Ali, and it's one of those favorite famous quotes of his where he says, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life a champion." And I have that there not because Muhammad Ali is my favorite athlete. I don't even think he was the best boxer ever. I think he was amazing, but it's not there because of that. It's not there to show people, oh look, live a champion. Living a champion in everybody's life is different. A champion, you just being the best mother you can be, that's being a champion. But it's more the human side of it. If somebody that is thought to be as good at what he did as Muhammad Ali can make it so humanize the training like to all of us, because there's days that I do not want to touch the barbell. Today is one of them. I'd rather not do anything, but it has to happen. And him saying, I started, my favorite part of the quote is the start of it. Him saying, I hated every minute of training. Because I have so many clients that at times will come like, oh my God, I don't want to train today, or I don't want to do this, and blah, blah. And other than talking them through whatever their issues throughout the day may have been, or if I am willing to help in that case, apart from that, just making them know that, listen, this is not sunshine and lollipops the whole way. It's not the fun stuff that you see on TV, everybody's smiling all the time. If I'm doing my job, you're probably not going to like part of it.
Yeah,
I'm good at it. Good at it. So so that's part of it. And to me, that it just it's a poster that's in my gym because of that main reason. It humanizes it and shows them you're not the only one that doesn't want to be here right now. The guy that was the best in the world at something didn't want to be there right now.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's the only thing I could say as in terms of a resource that consistently I go to, because depending on what my client's issues are, if somebody has a really big issue with sleep, I'm going to direct them to sleep information. If that's the thing that I think they need to address first, like before even me saying, okay, here's your at home program or here's your nutrition stuff. If the sleep is the worst variable, I am going to address that and send them to whatever resources they need. If the eating is by far the worst variable, that is the route I'm going to take. And same thing, if they tend to eat relatively consistently, they sleep relatively well, but training, they just don't move their body at all, I may not even talk about the other stuff for a while. I need to focus on the thing that they're really not good at, try to bring it up, and then we slowly try to make everything else as good as possible. But a lot of people have different issues, so it's hard for me to say one source other than that Muhammad Ali poster.
absolutely. I love that. It's a great answer. And speaking of your opinion on Muhammad Ali not being the best, I'm kind of curious as to what your definition or even a person who you would consider to be an optimum human.
Optimum, optimum human or optimum athlete? Are we like saying in all like aspects of human life?
Yeah, I would say all aspects of human life.
Hmm. That's a hard question.
Good.
That's a hard question.
All right, so tell us athlete then. Best, like, well-rounded athlete, with everything that you think they have going for them. Like,
It it's hard to argue with Conor McGregor right now, even after losing. The way he handled losing and going forward, it's an example to so many people in life. I know a lot of people don't like his arrogance, and don't get me wrong, I thought it was amazing that Nate Diaz beat him. Like such a fan of the sport, but out of most sports, in terms of the characters of how they speak to themselves, how they look at themselves when they look at themselves in the mirror, how they portray themselves to the public, and then, which is a huge sign of a champion, is how do you deal with the loss? Yeah, he was talking himself up, but he's also selling a fight, and that's a huge part of it. He lost, okay, but look at how he dealt with losing. Like every time that guy wins or loses, he's relatively humble compared to his sentiments coming into the fight. So I would say he is quite well rounded out of athletes that I am aware of right now. I'm sure there's some athletes in other fringe sports that might embody everything a little better than he does, but that I'm aware of at this moment, I would say, yeah, probably Conor McGregor. from a sheer athletic standpoint, though, like when we talk about boxing,
Hmm.
I know he may not have had the same fight uh, uh, fighters face him or the best competitors face him, but I don't know. I'm not talking his private life at all, but Mike Tyson is just an animal.
Oh
And
man.
watching anything training footage of him or fighting, it's hard to say that there's any other athlete that looks so scary. Like looks like he literally might kill you if he hits you. And his all of his athleticism just kind of balls up into this like mini pit bull. Like obviously when he was younger, he's like a big teddy bear now. I'm sure he'd still could kill you, but
Oh yeah.
he, he definitely has a different demeanor than when he was fighting. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if you see the same thing in Conor McGregor. I wouldn't be surprised if when you see him get out of the octagon, um, there be a demeanor change and you see this more humble side of him or a side where more people are going to love him, or at least the people that maybe don't love him now and be like, oh, I kind of like him a little more now or whatever. Roy Jones Jr. was amazing at his prime. But yeah, I would say in terms of outside life and in your athletic life, for now, Conor McGregor. For anybody who doesn't know, that's a UFC fighter and a mixed martial arts fighter.
Yeah.
And but also, I also don't watch other sports close enough to tell you if there's a hockey guy or somebody that embodies a better you know thing. There are some good hockey players, like PK Subban obviously is very good in terms of his public image and what he does on the ice. So he's definitely a role model for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But as I say, I don't watch enough other sports to say.
Yeah. There's a lot of great athletes out there. Now with Tyson, I've seen like training footage of him like exploding punching bags and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So he had not
that's
only,
what's scary, man.
I know he not only had that physical advantage, he had that psychological advantage.
Yes, yes.
So and that plays a huge role into it. So now I'm just going to kind of backtrack again. You were saying that you had different resources for different clients. So could you give us the top two or three usual issues that you see with clients? And then the follow-up question to that would be, how do you most commonly resolve these issues? And just like
Um,
basic general answers, like doesn't have to be super technical, but I'm just interested in what you run into the most.
honestly, and I think because the way I advertise myself online, a lot of it has to do with just movement and rebuilding strength and whatnot. So, um, I honestly a lack of core and glute strength are the biggest things that I see, and I say that because when I address those things on people, I honestly see 9 out of 10 of the movements that I would ask them to do improve just from having a better awareness of how to use your hips and your glutes, how to maintain tension in them throughout ranges of motion, and same thing with the core musculature, or if we want to argue, the entire trunk. So Sharon Dubois gave me this quote, and it's one of the things I love is the core is everything except your limbs. So pretty much from your pelvic floor to the base of your head, or the top of your head, sorry, is your core, and understanding how force is produced and transfers through that area is huge. So I would say really just addressing core and glute function.
So now, following up on that, how like what are like the two major techniques you use to help, get those people back to a normal baseline?
The first thing in terms of core work is just getting people to understand how to breathe properly. Just because, again, most people sit so often that they start to lose the natural way we're supposed to breathe. Essentially, they're just breathing through their rib cage all the time. And not to say the rib cage doesn't move through breathing, it does, but it shouldn't be the first spot that the air goes into. So teaching people how to use the diaphragm, how to breathe shallow and deep through it. And I just try to teach as many kind of different breathing styles that I've learned through martial arts and through training that all have their place in training depending on the level of loading you have on you or not, or if you're going through conditioning or if you're going through strength. But they all have different types of breathing that are going to facilitate the core musculature working properly, and also your ability to either withstand a minute or 2 minutes of some bout of exercise, or if it's 2 second squat, whatever it may be. The breathing, and then honestly, I have all these different glute awareness exercises, so I just go to whatever I can get the person to feel and understand, so that when I tell them, when you go home and you work on what I tell you to work on every day, and a lot of it at the beginning is just neurological stuff, just being aware that you know how to squeeze your glutes and squeeze both of them, or maybe just control one side and not the
Hmm.
other side, but get this very good kind of kinesthetic awareness. Um, yeah, those two. Just
Awesome.
so it's hard for me to say because again, it depends what I see. So many times I'll be training somebody and I'm about to do something, and they do something that makes my brain go right away to something else in terms of, oh, I'm gonna do this with you, yeah, yeah, yeah. And we do it, and it's like, okay, I haven't done that in a while, but this facilitated what I wanted.
Hmm.
So I don't really care what the movement is. It's like to my clients, I don't even care what the name of the exercise is. If you call an exercise glibba glabba and that helps you remember what it is, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
yeah.
I wonder how many people were squeezing their glutes while listening to that just now.
I was.
I know I definitely was. I was controlling my left and right butt cheek.
Okay, I have
Uh,
a question for you, Claude and
yeah.
Brian. You guys ever catch yourself when you're teaching people? And I don't know why, it's especially if I start going into teaching them swings, where if I'm really trying to get them to squeeze their butt, they'll be done a set, and I don't realize till the set's done that I've been clenching my own ass so fucking hard. I'd be like, Jesus, relax, Kyle.
Oh man. No,
So I gotta do my own drills and relaxing.
Brian, you want to answer that one first?
uh, Frankly, I'm not conscious of whether I do that or not. So it definitely, I will definitely have to start paying attention to that.
For me, I definitely activate my glutes, especially when demonstrating with my clients. And sometimes when they're doing the movements, I'll kind of like shadow them without any weight,
Okay, yeah,
just
yeah,
to kind of like be like
yeah.
that shadow. But I do notice with posture, anytime I see one of my clients' posture kind of degrade or their head falls forward, I say, "Oh, posture," and then I realize my own head is forward, so I fix myself. So it's a good little self
Right?
self teaching thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've got one kind of final question here before I completely give it over to Brian, or Bri as I like to call him.
Right, right.
I'm joking.
Like
But
Of course.
um, what's your, what's your one secret kind of to staying healthy?
consistency.
Consistency. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Um, it's the one thing that if that is not there, like let's say I did not compete in weightlifting, and I didn't care about needing to get heavier. I just wanted to, yeah, just relatively stay fit and do exercise. There isn't even, I'm not even going to say one type of exercise that I or a person should do. It's just be consistent with choosing something you like to do, and once you whatever you're doing becomes a little bit easier, you need to make it harder. So essentially some sort of progressive overload.
Hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be straight up with the load, but nonetheless, if you're somebody that, like, let's say somebody's like, I hate weights, I hate doing this, I just want to play with my kids and go running. Yes, it may not be the most optimal, but if their technique is fine, whereby the mechanics of the running is not causing more issues,
Hmm.
then no. If that's your favorite thing, go do it. But do that consistently. And when you can do a mile in 5 minutes, you better try to break that shit. Because if
Right.
you then you are going to stagnate. The progressive overload and the adaptation model is always the thing that is going to be a constant. I don't care how old we are, we can, to the day we die, progressive overload and essentially the adaptation model to all the tissues and the cells in our body are always present. And forces are, as Andrino Spina says, forces are the language of the cells. And if we are not forcing ourselves to get better from where we are currently, there is stagnation. There's just no getting around it. It's not going to change if you're not forcing it to change. So consistency in whatever you love to do. If you love to run up the stairs and go down a slide and do that 100 times a day, go for it, do it. But when you can run up those stairs faster, you better go up those stairs faster.
Dude, that was motivating. I want to go out and train right now.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Let's go to a playground.
That was awesome. I gotta say props to that. I mean, you're completely right, and so many people overlook that.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you for saying that. Now,
No, no.
Brian, did you have any follow-ups or any questions for Kyle?
Just a couple of final questions for me. First off, I know you have a martial arts background. I'm kind of curious as to kind of, a thing or maybe two that you really stand out in your mind from what you've gotten from your martial arts training.
Um, Discipline. Like I trained Muay Thai for a couple years at Siam number one with John Suchart is the master there, and discipline. He definitely taught me that. Yeah, without and when I say discipline, it's not. And my weightlifting coach further reiterated this too, because both of them are world champions, and I've been lucky enough to train with many world champions in the 10, 11 years that I've been a trainer, which is invaluable to me. But the discipline in terms of not just discipline in training, but everything is discipline. So if I want to be a world champion Muay Thai fighter and I'm training and I'm doing everything I need to do, that discipline also goes outside to, oh, let's say, for example, a fighter does not have much money and he's got $100 on him and he has groceries to buy and something else, and maybe his buddy's birthday is coming up. Well, does he have the discipline to be able to say to his buddy, "You ain't getting jack shit on your birthday"? Because that $100 has to go to me recovering from martial arts so that I can keep training in martial arts. And it's that discipline that goes beyond what am I doing in the gym. And I think that's the discipline that we all try to teach our clients, is that this is not a 6 weeks I'm going to get this beach body, which is fine if that's the initial motivator, but the end result should always be lifestyle, lifestyle, lifestyle. How can I make this, how can I become disciplined enough whereby this is my life? It's not something that, oh, back in 2008 I was in awesome shape and in 2020 I'm a pre-diabetic. It's like, hey, I feel for you. There may have been some issues in there. I don't want to sound too insensitive, but the fact of the matter is, if it was a complete lifestyle, that probably would never even have the chance to happen. I'm not saying I don't eat crap, but not enough where all my meals in the day are void of nutrition.
Hmm.
Absolutely, I love
So,
that
so
answer.
much the discipline by far number one. And number two would be at the beginning of martial arts, I sucked at fighting.
Okay,
That's just a personal one.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And now Kyle's got his pink belt, so he's a vicious killer.
Pink belt with white stripes. Get it right.
Well, actually, in Siam number one, kind of they don't have necessarily belt systems,
No.
but they do have a special test, and when you pass this test, what do you get, Kyle?
What's you come in your yellow shorts, and then they have what's called their blue shorts test. And lots of different schools. Like when I did my blue shorts test, all the guys that were at Extreme Couture doing Muay Thai, they all came to Siam to do it there. So you get your blue shorts, and then once you get your blue shorts, if you do want to fight, you can start to train to get ready for fights, which was the next step for me. And I wanted to, and they wanted to help prepare me for fights. I was sparring with guys, but the rate of injury that I saw in those guys, and even the small little, sorry, burp, even the small little injuries that I had in the time that I was doing it was enough to make me be like, this is too up in the air. Like, it's just too much of a chance of like, oh, you're out, you're out, you're out. Um, so yeah, I went to something where the other variable is not another person's brain. It's a bar that does not have a brain. So my chances of injury in weightlifting are way less because it's just me and the bar. I don't have to worry about if the bar is going to do something. The bar is predictable. Another person is not predictable because their brain is going to do whatever they say to do.
That's
Um, So yeah, you get your blue shorts, and then you go from there. There's another level higher. I think they did a green shorts test.
Oh,
But I'm happy to say I was trained by. He's right now the number one Muay Thai ranked light heavyweight Muay Thai fighter in the world. Simon Marcus. He trains out of Siam as well, and I'm lucky. I was lucky enough to be trained by him, and beat up a lot by him, which is pretty cool. But again, it's just cool. One of those things to be able to know that, as my weightlifting coach when I started out, he's an Olympic medalist and world champion. So I'm just very happy that I've been able to personally, like one on one, been taken under the wing of people that are at the highest level in the world at what they do. So I am even more confident when it comes to what I know about the body and training and the mind, especially. At least I'm going in the right direction. I'm not out in left field.
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. I think learning from those experts and having firsthand experiences with them is pretty much invaluable. Like you
I
can learn a
agree.
lot from a book or like a YouTube video, but actually having somebody tell you like, hey, get your shoulders up higher, or
Yeah,
hey, like make sure your abs are on, or
yeah,
hey, I ran into this. It's hugely beneficial, and I'm a little bit
absolutely.
jealous of you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, invaluable as you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I hope you've had as much fun on here as I have. It's been a fantastic
Absolutely.
conversation. But my last question: who would you want to hear on this podcast?
Hmm, that's a good question. Um, by Jessica Morris Health.
Oh, that's a good plug, Kyle. You're a man. Oh man.
I'm learning, dude. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Marketing is not my forte, but I'm learning.
Happy wife,
um,
happy life.
exactly. Happy wife, happy life, indeed. Um, are you thinking like people in Toronto or just anybody?
Anybody in the world, whether you think we can actually get them on here or not. Either way.
Um, I would like honestly like if you guys could get a John Suchart, I could maybe even try to talk to him for you. My the guy that started me out in Muay Thai, or Nicky Varbanov, my coach's son, who's one of the best lifters in Canada, might be an awesome one for the your listeners to hear, just because he is a multiple time national champion, a multiple record holder in the country, and he's moving up a weight class to try to take more records from the guys that are already in that weight class. So
The kid's a
it's
monster.
he is a monster.
Like
It's an
400
interesting
pound
landscape.
back squat, like no problem.
Yeah, at 100 and like 35 pounds, 140 pounds, he does that,
Wow.
which is ridiculous. Yeah, like
Absolutely. Now, what
Kyle,
would you want to hear him talk about?
Um, his journey, I guess, into weightlifting. It's been interesting because he's one of those people. He's been lifting since he was about 9 years old, and 9 or 10, and he's 16, almost 17 now. And I've been lucky enough to watch him grow the whole time. Like I go back and see videos of him before puberty and how little he was and how high his voice was, and then to see him now and he has the body of like you see him in clothes and the way he fills out jeans is like I fill out jeans and I'm still jealous of him. So it's like how does a little 16-year-old have this like fully grown athlete man body? Like I don't mean just a full grown man. Like I mean like that athlete that you see walking down the street that you're like, holy shit, that dude must work hard in the gym or something. Not to say that means everything to outside life. I'm just saying in terms of the gym.
Yeah, it reminds me of that scene in Dumb and Dumber. Look at the butt on
Yeah,
that one.
exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, he must work out.
Oh,
So,
man.
So
Oh,
awesome.
all right, Kyle. Well, it's been awesome, man. Thank you so
well,
much
I've
for your
got
time today.
one more question for Kyle.
Absolutely.
Sorry to
Yeah.
cut you off, Brian. So, Kyle, where can we find out more about you, more about your training, and more about Jessica Morris Health? I'm sure we'll want to have her on the show,
That
but
was an awesome question.
I try.
Okay, so for me, all my social media handles, you go on Facebook, just go to Kyle Gentle, and that's my personal one, but it is a lot of my personal one is all business anyways, essentially. And then there's also Facebook / Primal Performance, which is my Facebook business page. On Instagram, it's kyle.gentle.strengthcoach. And on YouTube, which I'd love any listeners to go and check out my channel and subscribe to it, it's Kyle Gentle on YouTube. It was Primal Performance. Everything was there, but for some reason, YouTube made me change it to my real name.
Hmm.
I don't understand why, because I see lots of channels that don't have the real name. But either way, YouTube Kyle Gentle, and you'll see all the stuff.
Awesome. And what about Jessica Morris Health? Where
Yes.
can we just, you know?
And if you go to jessicamorrishealth.com, you'll see all of her stuff from her website and how to contact her. And then on her Instagram handle, it's at Jessica Morris Health.
Awesome, awesome. So Brian, I will let you do the outro, so to speak. Thanking Kyle and letting him know he's the best.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been very enlightening, and thank you for taking the time with us today.
I'm very flattered that you guys would ask me to come on, and if this stays as the inaugural podcast, it's super cool to know that. I remember I was at the pilot episode with a buddy on a show on Slice TV, so it's cool to be the inaugural of a few things.
You took our virginity, Kyle.
Good.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Claude. So.
Oh, man.
But yeah, no, it's been awesome, and I thank you for having me on. I'd love to come on again, or even have my brother. You guys should have my brother on the show.
Well, maybe you can double team us.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on, Claude, stop.
And then double team. Sorry.
And on that note, thank you, folks, and we're off.